welcome to Wednesday.
Is that Ascension?
Wednesday, your number one.
I think that's
resource for the
Ascension.
entire week's worth of VR news. Okay, so if you thought the situation was bad a few weeks ago regarding Meta, things have gotten a lot worse. Like, things aren't looking good, and it has me pretty concerned. PSVR 2's release date and price have been revealed. VR Chat is about to support hand tracking. Unreal Engine 5 makes VR look incredibly realistic, and Rec Room is about to expel a large portion of its player base.
Meta bans Rec Room from hosting 12 and under accounts on Quest. W Meta.
All that and so much more, let's just get right into the news. So remember months ago I talked about Meta stock free-falling and them losing about $251 billion of value? Well, while that was bad, it's gotten much, much worse just this past week. That $251 billion is now closer to a $700 billion loss.
That's a lot of money, man. That is a lot. You think about how much money that is, that's a lot of fucking money.
The company, previously valued at over $1 trillion, is now only worth $250 billion. And to give you an idea of how bad this has gotten, Home Depot as a company is worth more than Meta right now. And unfortunately,
that's not good. That's one way to put it. Hey, yo, that's one way to put it. I feel like the main problem that Meta had, and they've had with like explaining the metaverse, is they're just, whoever is marketing the metaverse, they need to fire their entire marketing team. Because whoever is in charge of like what they present to the public is a fucking moron. Like the idea of a metaverse, the idea of like a virtual world, etc. You can sell this. Of course, what do you mean you can't sell this? Sword Art Online sold it. Fucking Overlord sells it. Well, you can't sell it? Get the fuck out of here. You've got so much money. Second Life, yeah, this is a million ways of this. Like, it's not a game. It is a game. It's absolutely a game. People are going to play Metaverse like a video game. Holy fuck, yeah, they should have done this. That's how they should have tried to sell it from that perspective.
Unfortunately, the Quest Pro launch didn't do much to help, and things have gotten so bad that I am, at this point, seriously concerned. I mean, you even have the Mad Money guy crying about Meta stock.
Oh, I apologize.
And all of this has to do with a few things, but mostly Meta's spending and gross lack of revenue. In a Q3 earnings report, Reality Labs, the division behind everything VR at Meta, reported its worst revenue quarter ever, pulling in half as much as last year from $558 million to $285.
Here. Let me solve their problem. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg, please listen to me. What you need to do is you need to you throw away like all of this fucking like weird shit with like putting your character in the metaverse. Nobody cares about that, okay? Nobody gives a fuck. Hentai sex simulator. Okay? That is what people want. How has video production been expanded through the last 30 years? One of the main reasons is porn. You can be on that cutting edge. You can do it. But you're trying to have them make an amiibo of you in this fucking bullshit. Interactive hentai sex simulator. Do that, and the stock will go back up. I promise you.
$5 million. And they blame this directly on...
Nobody wants to fucking say it. Nobody wants to admit it, but it's true, and everybody knows it.
The drastically lower sales of the Quest 2, which makes sense. A whole lot of factors from the Quest 2's price increase making it less appealing, to very few new games and applications coming to the Quest and rising competition. The Quest 2 just isn't selling nearly as well as it did at launch, which is kind of what happens when your device gets more expensive and doesn't get any more software. The other problem that is alarming investors is the spending, as Reality Labs has been spending billions on R&D with massive teams.
Wow.
Apparently, the Horizon team itself has over 1,900 employees. Take that however you want. And all of this wouldn't be...
How do you have 1,900 employees and the best thing that you can come up with is the "We starting soon" menu? or the Wii main menu. Like, that's really bad. Bro, like, I think they're taking Mark to the cleaners. Like, they're finessing this guy out of a bunch of his fucking money. This dude made a lot of money. He did some real shit with Facebook back in the day, and now they're doing this.
So bad, except Zuckerberg not only stated that they're going to keep spending like this, but that they're going to spend more, and that revenue will likely decrease even further. And investors have, no joke, pretty much started protesting Zuckerberg, as he's pretty much the only one in power. If this were a different company that were organized...
I can respect that. I can actually respect that. Him saying, you think it's bad now? Oh, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get a whole lot worse before it gets better. Like, why? Because he believes in it so much that he's willing to tank his own reputation, put his reputation, all of his money, his entire legacy on something. Absolutely, I respect it. Like, that's a captain that's willing to fucking be the captain of his ship all the way to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, a captain is going down with his ship.
differently, the board would have likely voted him out of CEO. It's gotten to that point. But he's here to stay, and I'm honestly pretty mixed on this whole situation.
Yeah, I think this is great.
As we give Meta and Horizon, they have put their foot down. They gave the middle finger to investors that are just looking for short-term revenue. They are quite literally betting the farm on the AR and VR industry and putting everything that Meta is on the line. Which
That's badass.
I can massively respect. There's no other company in the world that is investing as heavily.
This is absolutely fucking psychotic and insane. I love it.
VR industry as Meta, but it's also pretty concerning. They spent years being pretty anti-competitive, and now that the industry didn't grow how they had anticipated, it's biting him in the butt. They bought all the best studios in the world, and then no more games came out from them. It's just kind of a weird situation. And I've actually got a lot more to say on this whole subject. I'm probably going to end up doing a full Dear Meta video soon, because while, yes, it's amazing that Meta is trying so hard and investing so much money to keep the industry alive, like, we all appreciate it, and VR wouldn't be where it is now without those investments, but at the same time, losing 70% of your company's value within a year after changing your name to Meta is a little scary, not only for Meta themselves, but to the entire VR industry that they're trying to shape. And I'm definitely going to keep watching this. I don't think Meta's going to go belly up or anything, but these next 2 years may be especially tough on the company. And I'll also say that every tech company in the world is watching Meta sync with their investments into the VR industry, and it's not making VR look all that appealing. I just hope that we don't have another—
because it doesn't look good. That's why it doesn't look that good. The thing is, like, in the same way that, like, MMOs didn't really, like, take form whenever it was, like, 1999 or 2001. Like, MMOs really started to pop off whenever World of Warcraft came out because it looked really good, it played really good, and it was definitive. And VR is just waiting for its World of Warcraft. It's just not out there. EverQuest was very big, but it was, like, nothing compared to WoW.
1983 situation on our hands. I don't think that's the case, but you know, it's still a little scary. Also related, Mark Zuckerberg is about to testify before Congress yet again regarding this Federal Trade Commission case for anti-competitive practices where Meta was recently blocked from acquiring Within Unlimited. And who knows, maybe Meta is just driving their value into the dirt to get the FTC off their backs, but hey, that's just a theory. And on the positive—
well, the problem is that they're not selling Meta and these things as places for weirdos to go online to be weirdos with each other on, because that's really where people get into VR. Like, every single good VR clip I see, there's like some weird girl with like cat ears on, and it's like half of everything is censored on the screen because it's on YouTube. Like, this is what people really want. Like, that they want a place that can transcend the normal existence they live. That's what people want with VR, any sort of technology like this, and it's just not there. That's not they don't want to be stuck with where they're at, with who they are.
Positive side of things, Quest 3 was officially confirmed to be coming late next year. But given everything we just talked about, this upcoming Rec Room—
whatever it is, it's not worth $100 billion. I think something that can transform a person's life into some sort of different fantasy in a way that it's hard for them to tell the difference of which one. It's not worth 100 billion, it's worth 100 trillion. It's worth everything.
Situation makes a lot more sense. So Rec Room is one of the largest VR social apps to have ever existed, not only bringing in millions of users from pretty much any device you can imagine, but also raking in a ton of investment money as one of the few unicorns of the VR industry, pulling in $100 million in a funding round last year. And if you've spent any time in Rec Room, you'll know that a large portion of the user base is pretty young. The Rec Room squeaker is a very real thing. And this is actually aided by Rec Room, as they've supported both standard accounts and something they call junior accounts, an account type that allows kids 12 and under to still play Rec Room. They just aren't allowed to speak, send messages, or damage other players. But
voice and text chat are disabled. Players are given a unique username without personal information. Creator tools are disabled except in private dorm room. User-generated content with friendly and mature themes. It's like, yeah, that all this stuff is good. Like, hopefully they can't hear. Oh, that, yeah, voice. Oh, it's disabled. All right. I thought they just weren't able to say anything. Oh, yeah, it's just straight up disabled. That's good.
this is all about to change, as Meta stated they would remove Rec Room from the App Store if they didn't remove junior accounts from the game. And this isn't just limited to Rec Room from the App Store, but this is all about to change, as Meta stated they would remove Rec Room from the App Store if they didn't remove junior accounts from the game. And this isn't just limited to Rec Room, this is
Meta is requiring Rec Room apps like it to block users under 13 years of age, or the offending app may be removed from the Quest Store. Oh, this has nothing to do... No, this has nothing to do with Meta. This is a law. If you guys ever notice this, every single social media website requires you to be at least 13. That's because it's a law.
An entire store sweeping change across all apps, basically sending the message, don't allow anyone under 13 years of age to play or you're off the store.
Exactly.
With them officially stating that Meta devices are, quote, not toys and children have greater risk of injury and adverse effects than older users, end quote. And to be fair, this is a good move. I mean, it's kind of weird that junior accounts existed at all, especially considering that 13 years or older is the general age for kind of everything on the internet.
Exactly.
But I don't see this really changing all that much of anything. It's not like real age verification happens anyways, so you'll just have more kids with full-on accounts. And I'm sure that some...
That's definitely true. That's a good point that he's making. I do think also kids with full-on accounts, if they ever do anything, they can get reported and get insta-banned. So at least that's a good thing. I feel like it could be a neutral effect, but I feel like Meta is doing this primarily just to avoid liability. Like, that's what they care about, is liability.
Kids will be banned, but generally they'll probably just circumvent it. This doesn't really solve all that much, but from a legal standpoint makes a lot more sense.
Exactly.
It's a good move. And I would say that it's weird that this is happening now and not years ago, but I'm sure the last thing Meta wants or needs right now is another media frenzy hit piece about allowing minors to mingle in the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. I think also another big thing is that, like, it's the technology is evolving way faster than the law is. And it's just, there's a million things going on, and it just probably flew under the radar. That's just what happens. I think the same thing's happening right now with TikTok, to be honest, with, like, their broadcasting problems.
To ban kids under 13 from VR as much as possible. But now it's time for a meme break! Excitement for the PSVR 2 after the price was announced.
Okay.
Kinda kidding, but maybe not. I guess this week's meme break will just be the topic.
Is that a lot?
Because the highly awaited PSVR 2's price...
Like, I remember whenever I ordered a VR headset, it was $1,000, and it never came. And so, like, thanks, Gavin. Appreciate that. Where the fuck is it? Did somebody steal it? I don't know. Yeah, I never got it.
And release date were just announced today. With pre-orders
starting in November 2 years ago.
And shipping February 22nd,
We'll probably be here next
OLED
week.
PlayStation VR 2 will cost $549. More than the cost of the PlayStation 5 itself. And I don't know what I really expected. I don't know.
Well, if it has a dozen games on it, it has more games on it than the PlayStation 5, so it's not really that bad, is it?
Maybe that price doesn't sound too bad to some people considering all the tech that's jammed in the headset, but I was really hoping for more like a $300 or $400 headset.
I think that realistically right now people are still paying early adopter and innovator prices for these kinds of things. Like, you're still paying primarily for the research and development of these tools and these products, much more so than the actual technology inside of them and the parts, etc. So like you're going to have to pay more money for this kind of stuff because it's on a closer degree of cutting edge products. That's just where it's at. That's the way anything is.
Set. I mean, I've tried it before and it's good, like really good, but it's wired and only works with the PS5. It just sounds really steep that to be in PSVR, you're in well over $1,000.
Yeah.
Sony did announce a bunch of
yeah,
things
that's
that
such a huge
coming,
barrier.
and I think that the exclusive category is where they're really going to be pushing sales. Games like Horizon, not that Horizon, Crossfire, and Firewall all look really good, so we'll have to see. I don't know, what do you think about this price? And of course, I'll get one and review it. It's no joke the reason why I got a PlayStation 5 at all. I'm just hoping that either modders or Sony themselves will enable some sort of PC VR support.
In my opinion, I think that in the same way that, remember how we had, let me think of a way to put this. Do you remember how like back in like the 90s, there were like all these different types of like storage devices? There was like zip drives, floppy drives, like CD drives. There was like the big CDs. There was VHS tapes. There was Betamax. There was the fucking those big like not records, but like actual like movie discs, etc. Mini disc. Yeah. Then there was CDs nuts. You guys remember that one too? That was actually, I'm not going to make that joke anyway. You know, we had a million of these different things. I feel like VR is in that place right now, and it's in that Betamax VHS transformative time, because in my opinion, looking at something like this is not appealing. This is just simply not appealing. It looks weird. It doesn't feel like you're really in there. It's not really fully developed in any sort of a way that adds true value to a person. I think that most people like VR now for what VR is going to be and not what it is. That's what it seems like for me whenever I keep hearing people talk about it, etc. That's what my take is on it, and that's what my excitement is, personally.
I'm just hoping that either modders or Sony themselves will enable some sort of PC VR support. Would definitely bring a lot more value to this $500 plus headset. VRChat has just received a pretty exciting update bringing hand tracking to Quest 2 and Quest Pro on their beta branch. So far, this only works with the standalone version of VRChat, them stating that PC VR implementation is halted due to platform and technical restrictions, and there are workarounds for hand tracking on PC that you can use now, although it's not quite the same as having full-on hand tracking support. It's more like controller emulation using hand tracking. But not gonna lie, regarding VRChat, they've done a crazy amazing job the past few months bringing updates since the easy anti-cheat fiasco. Whether you agree with that original decision or not, from personal mirrors to user interface updates, basically everything people have been asking for years have been added in some way, shape, or form. Easily, VRChat's in its best state it's ever been right now, and the updates just keep
you guys see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this just looks like fucking garbage. It does. It looks like absolute fucking garbage. So, like, unless you can have, like, cat girls in this and, like, weird types of, like, you know, fantasy sex, where's the value add here? It doesn't exist. You can. Yeah, I know. That's the only reason why people use it. Yeah, that's the whole fucking point.
I hope that they don't stop. And really, I think the only things that I'm asking for now are better face and eye tracking support, as well as bringing that hand tracking to PC, but all in all, it's just been a good few months for VRC. So, the Quest Pro just launched with Qualcomm's latest processor, the Snapdragon XR2 Plus Gen 1, and I made my impressions video on it earlier this week if you're interested, but more is yet to come. Qualcomm recently announced that multiple new VR headsets will be announced by the end of the year that also include the XR2 Plus. The biggest benefits of this chip are that they're capable of handling more video streams, essentially more cameras. It's how the Quest Pro is able to have double the sensors as the Quest 2. Of course, we don't know who these headsets will be by and if any of them are aimed towards consumers at all. These all may just be prosumer or enterprise headsets, but we'll have to see. I've still got my eyes on HTC Vive though, as they do have a new headset they've been hinting at. We just know nothing about it right now, but I'm not sure that that headset in particular will have this more expensive processor, since it seems that HTC is aiming to bring this new headset to a more consumer audience. Unreal Engine 5 launched earlier this year with some some pretty
I saw
impressive tech
that.
demos, but two big features that pushed the engine to the next level initially did not support VR, those being Lumen and Nanite, and this has all changed recently with Unreal Engine 5.2. And holy crap, one of the demos shown off on Twitter displays some of the most realistic looking VR scenes I have ever seen. The demo just being a simple cave and flashlight, but it still looks really impressive. And I know PC VR hasn't exactly gotten the most attention lately, and PC VR is turning out to be quite expensive, but if games end up looking like this...
See, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. I don't give a fuck about exploring some stupid fucking cave. Doesn't matter, I'll go do that in real life. We're getting there.
For those platforms, I think it's going to bring quite a bit of attention to both platforms. There are just a few things that you can't do on a mobile processor. The Pico 4 has been out in Europe and Asia for a few weeks now, and it's been doing pretty well, and I actually just got a Pico 4. Turns out that as an American, it was easier for me to fly to Japan and pick one up there. So I will be making a video on it for sure, but we have some interesting news regarding their enterprise lineup, the Pico 4 Pro and Pico 4 Enterprise. These headsets are set to directly compete against the Quest Pro, featuring the same base headset as the Pico 4, but with face and eye tracking built in. Except the Quest Pro costs $1,500 and the Pico 4 Pro costs around half that at $800. But there's something pretty disappointing here. The Pico 4 Pro and Enterprise are the same headset, the Enterprise model being sold only to businesses and the Pro model being sold to consumers as well. But it turns out that the Pro model is only being shipped in China with no plans on bringing it to the West. So if you want a headset that has eye tracking, face tracking, and pancake lenses, basically your only option is to buy a Quest Pro right now. And the Enterprise version really isn't an option at all, as it won't have access to the consumer app store. I would have thought that the Pico 4 Pro would have been an easy sell in Europe, but you know, it's not coming. Haptics, a company known for their impressive enterprise VR glove solutions, just launched pre-orders for a brand new glove, the G1. A $4,500 set of gloves that replicate...
This shit's never gonna happen if you have to move around. Like, it's never gonna happen if you have to move around, be walking around. Like, that's what my opinion is. It's gonna have to have some level of neural link. Like, I don't think people are gonna want to get up and move around. That's whenever it'll actually pop off, if they can ever get there. What if it has feedback? I mean, if you can get into the nervous system with one thing, you can probably get into it with other things, and you can simulate the feedback.
The sense of touch using hundreds of
I mean, I'm not a... By the way, I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't really know what I'm talking about with this. Okay, like, I don't really know. It's just what seems like it would make sense to me. Okay, so don't take anything I'm saying here as any sort of actual fact.
Fluid actuators, as well as force feedback. And that may sound crazy expensive, but their previous versions cost significantly more in the past, so things are getting quite a bit cheaper. It should also be known that this thing is pretty crazy, like you straight up wear an air compressor as a backpack, but after trying the demo last CES, I was definitely impressed. But now, it's time for question of the week, from Lunar Lucar. How long do you think it would take for compatible software to be developed to turn the PSVR 2 into a PC headset? Honestly, I wish this feature was coming at launch by Sony. If PSVR 2 also worked as a PC VR headset, the price tag would be way more justified, but I can imagine people will mod in support for PSVR 2 on PC really quickly. Just about everybody wants it to happen, and it happened with the original PSVR, so it'll probably happen within a short time of launch. At least, hopefully. Either way, when it does happen, I'll definitely be making a video on it. And that was question of the week. Leave your own down below and I may just answer yours next. What do you think about the whole Rec Room situation and about the price of the PSVR 2? I think this is just a pretty weird time for VR right now, but still a lot of pretty interesting things. Yeah, also, just wanted to remind everyone about the MC Summit event going on November 16th. It's free for anyone that comes from my channel and uses code THRILL at checkout. Pretty much a bunch of VR industry people, including myself and Fia, are going to be hosting talks at the Creator Summit, so the details are in the description if you're interested in coming. Should just be a fun time. I want to say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. I couldn't do any of this without you, and don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.
Yeah, I think that to the extent you gotta stand up and move your arms around, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Well, you're not gonna get people to get up. Ain't nobody want to get up. 40-pound backpack is really heavy to wear constantly. Yeah, it's just not gonna happen. Yeah, I really, really hope, like, wire me the fuck up. Let's go. I'm ready, man. I'm very excited to see what this is gonna be, man. It is so exciting to me. Yeah. Moving with an augmented reality headset will happen. Yeah, I mean, like, you almost, I mean, you had that by proxy with things like Pokemon Go. So it's only a couple of steps away. And I don't think you're going to have headsets. I think they're going to be like sunglasses. I think that's probably what it would be more like, so it doesn't look as stupid. Because things looking stupid, like, this is an instant death sentence. Like, for example, like, smartphones look good. You know what I mean? Like, tablets look good whenever you're using them. This other stuff doesn't. So that's what the difference is. Contact lenses, surely. I mean, I don't know. I would never want to put something on my fucking eye. I'll tell you that. We're going to company where we develop a haptics device. It's pretty good, but yeah, heavy and expensive. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that, I mean, but everything is heavy and expensive. So, like, for example, my mom, so, like, this is a little bit of lore. So, like, my grandfather was a pilot in World War II. And it's where he met my grandmother. She was like a nurse or something like that. It's like, you know, one of those things. And anyway, after he was a pilot in World War II, he came back and he was a cartographer. He did different aerial photography, and whether that was for the military, whether that was for different maps, etc. And so he taught my mom, like, my mom knew how to fly a fucking airplane, like, straight up. And so obviously he was pretty well off. He was doing pretty well. And she actually went out, and whenever computers were coming out, this is like back in the fucking 70s, she and like him, like, for the you know, their business and everything, they were gonna spend like $30,000 or $40,000 at the time on a computer, and she flew all the way out to like Houston or something to be able to see it. So, like, it is just like, and think about, like, that was in the 70s, and it was as big as his room. Yeah, it was as big of a room. That's why it was so expensive. And so, like, whenever I grew up, like, I grew up with the computers, like, from the very, very beginning. Like, she had, like, those, it's called like an Osborne, I think, and she's had like every single PC, from like the little tiny like fucking nuclear submarine screen to like the bigger like green screen Neo wake up, you know, follow the white rabbit, and then, you know, we had the fucking CRT monitors, and then we had the, you know, obviously like everything else after that. Yeah, mentioned E-machines, yeah, exactly. And so Silver Spoon's like easy. I mean, he was rich. They were doing well, and then apparently, like, his business got fucked up. I don't know what the hell happened there. Yeah, but that's not how it ended up. But there's a video of how a military helicopter simulators from the 80s, looks like late 90s, ran on supercomputer. Honestly, cool as fuck. Yeah. And do you think good MMOs will come out to AR and VR? Yeah, I think that they will eventually. But what I'm saying is, like, you think about where technology is now, and you think about where it was then, and that was like 50 years ago, 40 years ago. I think that things are going to change a lot. And I think that, like, one really interesting, like, I think this is a mining canary, personally, is this. I really think this is a fucking mining canary right here. This is just a window into the... And the reason why it is because of how the fact that, no. Think about one of the main movies that, like, was about VR and, like, about how people saw VR and artificial intelligence and shit was iRobot. And one of the most important and memorable lines is whenever Will Smith was monologuing at the robot about how the robot could never draw anything that was as amazing as Picasso. Or, no, I'm talking about one of the first earlier ones, right? Was iRobot. Yeah, it was fucking huge in the 90s. Because people could not even at the time conceptualize the idea that AI could generate something like this. It was not even in the minds of the population. And that was only like, what, 20, 25 years ago? It was 2007? Was it 2007? Oh, wow, it was a lot more recent than that. Yeah, either way, you guys see kind of what I'm saying. It was 2007. Holy fuck. Yeah, I'm in a time loop. Okay, like I measure all time in WoW expansion. So if like I wasn't playing WoW back then, it could have been in like 1998, 2000, and like four. Like I don't remember, right? But like yeah, it was 2004, 18 years ago. Yeah. Either way, it was a long time ago. And like what I'm saying is like that movie conceptualized the idea that like an AI could never do something like this. And I think that now seeing something that has like the capacity, and there are even artists that complain about not VR, excuse me, AI generated art putting them out of a job. I think this is so interesting. I love it. I wonder if streamers will become VR and AI as well.